Hey Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today I have 3 news updates I gotta give you and talk about. So here you go, enjoy them. Okay, so recently Uber has had a bunch of terrible bad press, just bad news after bad news. I mean, you got delete Uber, no Uber going on. Oh, excuse me, delete Uber. Hashtag, gotta put the hashtag in there, hashtag no Uber. Then you have the sexual harassment, misconduct thing going on. The debacle with the CEO having to go into the Trump administration. And now it looks like we have some more bad news that I'll get to in a second. But first, I wanted to actually give you some good news. So the background on this is that Uber started out by saying that tipping was included in the fare when Uber was a new company. And that was a lie, because there was no tip in there. And then what happened was customers assumed they didn't have to tip because Uber was telling customers that they were getting tips and drivers that they were also getting tips, even though both was actually not true. And no one cared because when Uber first came out, I mean, you were going $2 or $3 a mile, so everyone was making tons of money, and you didn't even really need tips to operate as a business. It was really super easy. But year after year, you know, the per mile rate kept going down and down and down and down and down to where now it's 65 and 70 cents a mile in most markets. Most markets are $1 or less. And so tipping has now become absolutely needed in order for drivers to have any way of making money in this business. And actually, it's funny, all this news broke while I was editing my video on tipping. So whenever I finish it, I'll put it here, but for now it's probably just gonna be blank. So hello blankness. But anyway, what happened was there was a lawsuit from drivers to Uber, and in that lawsuit they won the right to request tips and accept tips. Because in like the very first training video for like, this is funny because new drivers don't know this, but old drivers remember there's like a training video you had to go through. And one of the training videos, I think there's like 4 or 5 of them. But anyway, one of the training videos was if someone offered you a tip, you had to decline the tip and only accept the tip if the customer absolutely wouldn't get out of your car and was like really adamant about it. So that's funny. That's how long I've been doing this stupid job for. But that's changed now because of the lawsuit. And so you can put like a tip jar in your car. You can put like signs or headrest covers in there. I'll put that link to that video here of my car setup, because you're allowed to do that now. But anyway, I'm gonna read this update to you. Uber finally updated their position on tipping, because even though the lawsuit went through and drivers could ask for tips, they hadn't actually changed anything because they're slow to the curb. So this is what it says now. And the question is, can my driver ask for a tip? As independent contractors, drivers may request tips at their discretion. Drivers care about rider ratings and do their best to create an ideal trip experience. While Uber does not require riders to offer drivers a cash tip, you are welcome to do so. Should you choose a tip, your driver is welcome to accept or decline. Please note that the trip fare charged to your payment account does not include gratuity. Where available, Uber Taxi is an exception. Uber Taxi connects riders with licensed yellow cabs and includes the option to set gratuity percentages added to your fare. So what I find most interesting about this is Uber still lives in this world where drivers are gonna be like, oh, a tip? Oh, you're gonna give me cash? Please, no sir. You keep that extra money. I love doing this job so much. I don't do it for money. I do it for charity. I decline your tip, which is an insane position to have. That's not a thing that happens in reality. No one in the history of Uber has ever declined a tip. And if you're out there and you have declined a tip, go ahead and email me so I can interview you, because you are a crazy person and I want to definitely get you on YouTube. The second part to this is that, for those of you who don't know, Uber already has tipping options available on their platform. They just only do it to Uber Taxi. Uber says that it would be too hard to add a tip option. They don't want to add a tip option. They have all these excuses for why they can't add a tip option. But in certain markets where they have Uber Taxi, they literally have tipping on the app. And so, like, it's one of those things, like, you gotta believe your eyes and ears. Like, you know, it's easy to add a tip option into an application with Uber. I mean, they have the best software engineers in the world, so they're playing dumb, right? And the evidence is Uber Taxi. I mean, Uber Taxi, you can add gratuity. Like, Uber can do it if they want to, they just don't. I don't know why. I mean, I guess when you're a billionaire, you just like look down at like the people below you and you're like, oh, it's so annoying to have to tip. I'm gonna make my company require that there be no tips because I hate it so much. I mean, I don't know, maybe. So that was the good news. The bad news for Uber is it just, oh my God, it keeps getting worse. So there's another article, and I'll put it here. I haven't put everything there. Let's put the article here. So with this particular article, it's showing that not only was there sexual harassment rampant in Uber, but basically they were just a bunch of insane people who didn't know what they were doing. They were doing cocaine and groping employees and throwing like wild, insane parties. Like, it's a pretty damning article. I mean, it's speculation, I guess, or whatever, some of it, but I mean, it's par for the course. And see, this is the problem with Uber's rise to where it is you go from nobody knows your name, nothing, to billionaire, like one of the most powerful people in the world overnight, and you don't know how to deal with that kind of money and power. You know, and all these other companies who have gotten there have had time to build their companies up, so they don't have wild cocaine parties. Right? Like, I mean, they did when they were little, but not when they were like billion-dollar companies. They've gotten a real HR like department that knows what they're doing, and they have had the growing pains necessary to have a successful business at that point. But Uber is still pretending like it's some little startup tech company that nobody knows. They're like $50 billion company. think about that. Like, it's not the 1970s. You can't be throwing cocaine parties in 2017. I mean, I guess you can. They did. It's their money. I guess they can do it. But that's not your money. It's investor money. Like, Uber doesn't operate right now like at a profit. They're only operating because they have investor money. So people are pumping money into this company and they're using it on cocaine. I'm gonna guess hookers, because that's what comes after cocaine. Like, here's sexual harassment, here's cocaine, in the middle of that is hookers. Like, I assume they were there too. Because it's the same thing as sexual harassment, only you're paying for it so they don't, you know, tell anybody. So anyway, one good bit of news from all this is that Arianna Huffington is invested in Uber, and so she has a kind of a little bit of pull, and people listen to her and respect her, and she's kind of pissed off. So from all the leaked news we're getting from all the online sources and whatnot, is she's really trying to put her foot down. And if there's one person in the world that billionaire playboys who just sexually harass people and don't treat anyone like their equal hates, it's a powerful, strong woman telling them what to do. That being said, like, let's hope she can bring some sanity to Uber, because they are on a crash course to destruction right now. The other bad news is that Google is about to sue Uber, and there's probably only 4, maybe 5 companies that could compete with Uber at anything right now, and Google is one of them, right? So for those of you who don't know, there are 4 tech companies that are known as the 4 horsemen. That's Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. And after that, there's like a bunch of speculation, like which is going to become the next tech company, like mastermind, right? So some people think it's actually Starbucks, which is like a weird thing, because people think that Starbucks is a coffee company. That's not true. Starbucks is a tech company that happens to sell coffee, but that's another discussion. Some people think it's Uber, and some people think it's Netflix. I happen to be on the Netflix side, because Netflix knows how to operate a billion-dollar company, and it doesn't just have wild cocaine parties and have, you know, 22% of its female staff quit because they don't want to be sexually harassed by their bosses. But, you know, we'll see what happens for the future holds. Uber still is an awesome, like, financial shape because of all the investment money, so maybe they'll go up there. Anyway, I digress. Google is suing Uber over its driverless cars. Now, if you're a driver like me, you want Uber to delay its driverless cars as much as possible, because once the automatic cars are out there driving, you don't have a job anymore. That being said, we are going to be at a place in the next 10 years where there are no more drivers behind cars. Like in 10 years from now, like, you will not be able to drive a car. Like, your kids right now will never drive. That's just the way it is. So that's gonna happen anyway, but Uber's trying to make it go super fast. And it's not like Lyft isn't doing it either. For those of you who don't know, Lyft is trying to contract right now with Chevy to get an entire fleet of electric cars. So they will be operating basically like cheaper versions of a Tesla, all electric all the time. Driverless vehicles will eventually be taking over Lyft too. So it's not like it's just for Uber. But we want to delay it as long as possible, right? Because we want to enjoy this job while we can. Well, turns out Uber hired an ex-employee from Google, and he took a bunch of trade secrets with him. And given the fact that Uber doesn't know what it's doing and is in turmoil right now, and Google has consistently known what it's doing since the beginning and done nothing but win, 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 I'm gonna guess that Uber is gonna win at this, or at least delay it long enough to where they can't take advantage of the trade secrets, right? So if you can't win a lawsuit like this, the goal is to make it last as long as possible so that the trade secrets that you're losing you can then improve on or wait. And I mean, in the tech industry, a year is a gazillion years, right? So if Google can delay it long enough and Uber can't use the trade secrets, by the time that they either win or lose, those secrets will not kind of be, you know, more common knowledge and outdated. So here's the thing, Google's gonna win that fight and Uber's screwed. And the last little bit of news is actually Lyft news, but it's also bad news for Uber because Lyft just announced it's launching in 50 more cities. So Lyft was definitely way behind Uber in the game, and now, I don't know, Uber, like, Lyft is definitely in your rearview mirror, right? It's way back there. But like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, you know, like, it's coming. I mean, it's right behind you. And like, if Lyft does well in these 50 markets, like they have in all the other markets they opened up, all Uber's doing is creating a market that wasn't there before. They are giving consumers a need that they did not know they had. Customers did not know how awesome it was to just push a button on your phone and have someone drive you anywhere. So now that that market exists and people have that in their everyday lives as a need and a necessity, the brand doesn't matter as much. I mean, yeah, you can get Uber, but you can also get Lyft or Juno or Tried or Fasten or any other of the gazillion options. In Seattle, there's Motor. I mean, there's a million different options now. And that market exists because Uber paved the way for it. And since they don't know what they're doing, a company that's competent and has an idea of what they're doing, and that company is Lyft, they're gonna steal market share and they're gonna be more successful than Uber long term. Especially since Lyft has a tip option. And by the way, customers like having a tip option. When they have a good ride, they want to give their drivers money. And also, these are tech people. These are people 35 and under who are very tech literate and understand things like the internet. So they can read, and they know that drivers are now making minimum wage or less without tips in a lot of markets. I mean, customers are stupid, but not all of them. Some of them realize if you're paying 70 cents a mile to get someplace, that the driver isn't making any money, and they want to tip. So giving them a tip option is not only good for the driver, which is an obvious thing, but it's good for the customer. It makes them feel good. I don't know, so maybe Uber will finally get its head up its ass. Maybe Ariana Huffington can slap some bitches around a little bit, and Uber will come out with a tipping option and make everybody happy. Okay, bye Internet. Hey everyone, this is my son. I woke him up when I was doing videos. Say hi Internet.
Hi Internet.
Say like, comment, subscribe. Say put comments below.
Put comments below.
One over here now, and say, if you guys want to be an Uber, Lyft, or Juno driver, you can click the links to the left-hand side, and they'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Thumbs up, point. Okay, say bye, Internet.
Bye, Internet. Thumbs up in the comments.
Yeah, thumbs up in the comments. That's right. Johnny, were you supposed to be sleeping?
Yes.
Daddy woke you up?
Yes.
Yeah. Now you're doing videos on the internet, huh?
Yes.
Is it fun?
Yes.
Tell the people what they want to hear, Johnny. Who's your favorite Avenger?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. All right, bye, Internet.
Did what?
I'll just cut that part off like that shit. He took a bunch of trade secrets. Try it again. The other, come on, get in focus here. What are you doing? Focus here, go. Hey Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today I'm going to talk about some Uber news. Hey Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit